let's try that again, shall we? Take two. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Shining Force 1 and 2 review rating video. Two really short games. I'm not going to have a lot to say about either. There won't be many, if any, clips. So, but yeah, let's get on into it. Shining Force 1 was definitely better than Shining Force 2. I stand behind that because Shining Force 2 was shockingly bad. Like, just shockingly bad. Like, wow. Oh, it was basically the first game, but like infinitely worse. Shining Force 1, on the other hand, took us 5 sessions. We used NSO rewinds, and it was a run funded by Ink Chaos. Plus 5 to story, or a plus 2 to gameplay. And yeah, as you can tell from the fact that there's only 11 story positives, I didn't have a lot to say on the story. Oh, I'll have a lot more to say about Shining Force 2. Trust me. Anywho, let's get into it. So, I gave a positive to the brickwork for the towns and for the dungeons, and like basically for the battle maps, right? So for the towns and for the battle maps, brickwork wasn't exactly great, but I thought it was worthy enough for a positive. I could tell what I was looking at, right? Now, throughout the game, there's the way the text has different pitches to indicate who is speaking, which I actually kind of like. So you'll get like a brrr for like a stoic person, or a beep for a girl talking. It's not much, but it does actually it is kind of an audio distinction that I actually kind of like. So, I also like the portraits of the characters. I think they are drawn, the way they're drawn and the limited amount of animation is actually kind of nice. The dialogue is basic and suffers from 90s translation, admittedly, but it's honestly nowhere near as bad as it could be, and yes, I can still understand what is going on. So yeah, 5 presentation positives, that's it. For characters, there's only like 1 character positive, because that was going to General Elliot, who's fascinating, and I kind of wish we had more time with him to flesh him out more. Because, I always enjoy characters that are good people, but they're on the enemy side, right? Now we get into the 5 moment positives that we had. Alteron's King surrendering is a nice twist, and one that makes perfect sense to me, admittedly. The intro on the story front, which I believe I made as chapter 1, good setup for the whole game, so that was good. Our ship burning right after we get it is a bit annoying, given what we went through to get it, but I do like the version, as I thought it was a nice surprise. The terrifying, the creepiness of Shade Abbey is actually pretty effective, considering that they didn't have much to work with, but they utilized what they had pretty effectively. And then Bestoke. Oak does not waste any of your time in informing you of your objective. I kind of like that, admittedly, because you get to Bestoke and it's just like, here's your objective, go. And I kind of like that. Now let's get into the 5 negatives. Or 6 negatives. Yeah, 6 negatives. So, the story has a very, well, no shit Sherlock flavor to it. Uh, I suppose I will say that this is more of a writing thing more than anything. I actually started using putting the categories with Trails Beyond the Horizon, which will be uh 3 rating videos after this one, but we'll get there. But yeah, the whole story kind of has this no shit Sherlock flavor to it, you know. Now, being bare bones isn't the issue here, not really. The issue here is that the game is essentially boils down to Runefaust must be stopped, and while it is nice to be constantly shown why, when a magical artifact summons a spirit that tells us to stop Runefaust in Chapter 2, you have to pause and ask, the fuck was the point of making me get the artifact if that was all you were going to tell me? You know? Like, really? Now I know now I know that we claim to be the chosen hero, but come on. And that was obvious when we succeeded getting the Orb of Light in the first fucking place, you know? Music direction is completely non-existent in this thing. Like, seriously, like, songs will just play over scenes haphazardly. It's pretty much one of my rating videos at that point. Right. I believe, yeah, that's it for, that. For presentation negatives. And there were no character negatives, so we'll just move on into the 4 moments that annoyed the piss out of me. Well, 3 moments and the outro. Oh. The King of Prompt throws us in jail for no reason other than to pad out the runtime. Yeah, I wasn't a fan of that. And then there's Kane's death, which is lacking. I honestly feel the scene where he first confronts Dark Soul is better, as at least there you get some closure. But when he actually dies, it's just confusing as to what the hell even happened. Because Kane effectively confronts Dark Soul, and then he disappears from the narrative. Then he randomly shows back up again, and that's when Dark Soul finally kills him. And it's like, really? The fuck was the point? Just have him die in the first encounter. And then there was the ending, which is honestly kind of bad and melodramatic as fuck. May acts like she wanted us romantically all along, which is right the hell out of nowhere and then we leave and become a farmer. Wait, what? At least give me the choice of the farmer ending or May, you fucking game. Like, come on now. Never mind the fact that we are a mute character throughout the entire thing, so becoming a farmer at the end makes no fucking sense. Like, I'm sorry. The cute knight... The cute knight or being a farmer. I'll take the cute knight, thank you. Fuck. That ending really did make the outro suck. It was honestly just bleh. Until that ending, but then that ending was just, what the fuck is this bullshit, you know? So there you have it. That's all the story points. Now let's get on to the gameplay. The music is nice, if a bit repetitive. I do like the unit variety, admittedly, given to you right at the start as we get a fighter, a knight, a mage, a fighter, knight, mage, archer, and healer just right off the bat, which covers all of your needs. Very nice, very balanced, you know. Then there's the triple positive I gave to the lack of a penalty for failure. See, what happens here is a cat, it doesn't take the hint of going the fuck away. No, what happens here is when you game over on a map which has the Lord Fail State, we'll talk about that in the negatives. You get sent to the last as save. Have. Okay, I worded this badly. Give me a second. Sorry, give me a second. Oh, no. No, it's egress. Sorry, it's egress. The egress spell. Lose due to game over. Sorry, I forgot to correct this. Because see, what happens is when if you game over, you get half of your gold ill taken from you. But if you use the egress spell to retreat from a map, you keep all of the gold and X that you gained. Your overall gold will be halved if you lose due to game over. Now, I honestly love this. This because, like, it's so great to keep the pace going as the game encourages it with the aforementioned egress spell. You know, it's also something that I'm intending to give Final Fantasy VI credit for as well. Although I'm pretty sure FF6 does it better because you don't lose half of your money. But I could be wrong about that. I obviously haven't played the older versions of FF6 in a long time. This is also aided by the fact that it leads to good mid-mission checkpointing, meaning as well, yes, you have to restart each map over again. The game has several map chains, and you continue from the link you left off on. So, in essence, if you die on chain 2 of 3, it means you restart on chain 2 rather than chain 1, which is actually appreciated. So, let's say there's a three map, there are 3 maps in a row, right? Let's say you die on map 2. Well, you restart map 2 instead of restarting map 1. You don't have to do map 1 again because you already beat map 1. Sense make? And I like that. That's a good approach. I like the core combat, surprisingly enough. I think itemization is well handled. It's honestly legit enough that I gave it 2 positives. Sometimes the encounter design is obnoxious, and then there's the other 90% of the time. Chapter 1's difficulty curve specifically was what I gave a positive, as I felt it was nice and smooth. It's just too bad it falls off cliff in Chapter 2 as early as the first map, aka Battle 5. I liked the sound design, I liked the enemy variety. I thought the pacing was actually good despite some annoying padding. Status effects only have a chance to be inflicted, which is good. Which is 15 presentation positives. Now let's get into the individual bits. So, Battle 4, I thought was the first real challenge, and I honestly feel it is fair in its approach. Chapter 1, yeah, I declared Chapter 1 the intro. Even on the gameplay, I thought it was good. Battle 6 was honestly a much better map than either the map before it or after. I hated Battle 7. Battle 9 is fun and works well as a breather after 8 was kind of ugh and Battle 7 was negative worthy. Battle 10 takes way too long, but is another fair map. And then Battle 11, which has the laser eye, is weirdly fun and easily the best map so far. The laser eye is devastating, make no mistake, but it only fires its insane laser of ultimate death every 5 turns, meaning you have plenty of time to get the fuck out of the way. Hey, there's basically a set of like three rows that if any unit that's in those 3 rows gets heavily damaged. By the way, that also applies to your enemies too. Love it. That was triple positive map if I've ever seen one. Holy shit. Battle 12 against General Elliot. Elliot is actually pretty cool. Oh, despite him constantly regaining health, he actually fights fair. Battle 13 was weirdly fun despite the annoying starting position. Battle 14, despite the sea bats, is fun and weirdly engaging. I'm not really showing any of these off, mostly because the streams are very short. Like I said, it's only 5 sessions, and I think each session was like at least 3 or 4 hours. Right? Just go with VOD like 4 and you'll basically see a lot of these fun maps. Battle 16 is weirdly fun and lucrative for leveling unpromoted units up to 20, as multiple times my units were gaining 48 experience each attack before level 15, which combined with the fact that warping out flags the cutscenes as having been seen, and a lucrative weapon shop that gets interrupted by an alarm that I forgot about. Apologies for that. Out. Lucrative weapon shop is right there in town, so yeah. So, and then there's, of course, Michelle. Now, I admit that on paper, Michelle in Battle 21 may seem annoying. She actually fights extremely fair, despite needing the Sword of Light to do any real damage to her without getting wrecked. Really difficult battle, but the game warns you straight up, use the Sword of Light. So. Battle 23 was fun, despite the torch eyes. And then Battle 26 was actually pretty fun, as the Horseman / Blue Dragon duos. Those don't move, and neither do either of the Cerberus or Armed Skeleton groups. So that was kind of cool. Battle 27 was pretty cathartic after the Tower of the Ancients. And then the final battle against Dark Dragon was fun, despite the 750 HP, 250 per head, that you have to slog through. He honestly fights fair, and is just challenging enough to not be irritating. And then I gave the outro on the gameplay, aka Chapter 8 as a whole, 2 positives, because I felt it was actually pretty cool. The only real hiccup being Battle 28 with that, so that was cool. 34 overall gameplay positives, but we got 32 gameplay negatives to go through. Let's get into them. As expected of this era, the interface is clunky, too many clicks. Because what happens is every action you want to take, you have to bring up a menu and then select the action you want for it, and it's just like, oh my god, it was so tedious. Walkthrough-itis is kind of obnoxious here, with a prime example being right at the beginning when recruiting Gong. If you're asking, who's that? Well, that's exactly my point. I also gave the second walkthrough-itis negative because of all of the obscure what now moments throughout the game. Then there's the severe lack of info in game, which sadly is par for the course with the older RPGs. Lord Phil stayed. If your main character, the one with the egress spell, has his HP drop to 0, that is an instant game over. I am still not a fan of that. And I never will be. The limited inventory. So every character has 4 slots, which they actually have, which includes their weapon and their accessory, which means having a weapon and an accessory takes up two of your 4 slots. And there's no, like, item box you can store stuff in between maps, which is, wow, they did not think that through. As we get cursed. That mechanic didn't get a negative, by the way. Giant bats. I hate fighting those goddamn things, as they have high evasion and like to put you to sleep constantly. I also don't like the slowness of combat. but it's for a different reason than Final Fantasy Tactics before the Evil East Chronicles version. Namely that the design has a nasty habit of either pigeonholing you into tight corridors or showering you with annoying enemies, or both. And I kind of hate how pace killing it is. This was the whole thing I mentioned about the pacing being good despite the padding. The difficulty curve past Chapter 1 is kind of crap. I'm not gonna lie. It feels like it ramps up way too quickly and just stays at, like, redonkulously high difficulty. They literally take the kitty gloves off and just thrust you in immediately, and it's like, oh, fuck off. The late game is hell if RNG hates you, because this is effectively, like I said in the stream, Sega's answer to Fire Emblem. There are accuracy and evasion issues galore. It is some of the worst miss rate of all in all of RPGs, as way too many attacks miss on enemies that make zero fucking sense. Zombies are not that fucking nimble. This is not World War Z. They are not frickin' linebackers. Triple negative for the accuracy and evasion issues. So, then there's a negative that is exclusive to this type of game, with the random stats going up. So, it'll be difficult to explain, but as I've never encountered this in any of the Fire Emblems we've covered so far, mostly because if it happens there, it is horrendously bad RNG, or being RNG screwed, as the FE fandom likes to call it. The negative is that, well, you can level and have none of your stats go up, which in Fire Emblem is kind of... I think I might be giving this to either Fates or Echoes. Probably not Fates, but Echoes might get this. Where there are so many times where stats can just not go up, and it's just like, wait, what? So I'll probably be giving a negative to that in Echoes, which hopefully will not be too much longer. It all just depends on how fast I get through the Yu-Gi-Oh stuff. This also adds to the fact that because of the way it's programmed, unpromoted units, and even some promoted ones like Xylo, drop off hard without grinding them up ASAP, and that just sucks. That's a power progression curve problem, to be blunt. Actually, both of these are power progression curve negatives when you really think about it. Then there's the map design, as the maps are way too big. They take forever to get through. I mean, all those who say that Fire Emblem Echoes Shadows of Valentia has maps that are too big and badly designed can fucking bite me, as this is boring map design. So yeah, triple negative there. So, let's talk about promotions now. So, anytime a unit has a high enough level, you can just go to the church in which you say that, and he can promote, and the priest there can promote your units. Okay? So but here's the problem. Here's the first problem. All of your stats go down when you promote. Now, to be fair, this is because the ceiling on promoting units is higher, and the rate of increase is also higher as well. And that does need to be acknowledged, but with how little the game informs you of the ins and outs of doing this, it kind of sucks, which leads to a problem of needing a character to be level 20 to promote in a way that won't fuck them over hard. There are characters that the guide I was using said to promote at level 20 and no sooner. Which also ties into the next point, which is this game has a grind problem. Then there's also backtracking to go and heal and save, which is just a royal pain in the ass. I also don't like the HUD or the menus in this game. I feel they are lacking way too much info. I gave a general padding negative because there's a lot of just issues of how many maps are and the enemy quantity. Like, just the sheer quantity of enemies is padding. Holy crap. And then there's the individual battles that I had, that I took umbrage with. The second battle is annoying, as it is painfully slow, even by this game's standards. Then there's Battle 5, which is a sloggy mess of a map and an annoying spike in difficulty. Not enough to make me rethink the positive for the curve, admittedly, but yeah, it was still pretty bad. Then there was Battle 7, or rather the boss of it, which can go to hell, having a level 3 spell that wipes you out so damn easy. Fuck, I hated that. I'm pretty sure that was the circus tent battle. Then there's Battle 18 with the ambush spawns. Battle 20 with the pigeonholing issue. Battle 25, which is sloggy irritation, and then Battle 28 being patience testing. Like I said, the streams are short, so you won't be really missing out on too much if you, if you just watch the streams. So yeah, that is Shining Force 1. Overall, I don't mind Shining Force 1. I think Shining Force 1 is a good game. Oh wow, I've been talking for 26 minutes. Do I bother combining these? I guess it is too late because because Shining Force 2 has already started to go live. So I will just do the whole thing. But yeah, not much to say there. To say in a lot of cases. It's okay for the most part. Now let's move on to Shining Force 2. I'm not actually going to change the music for this. I'm just going to keep going. And if we get to the end of the music, then I'll go ahead and do that. So this one I might be talking a little bit longer on. So here we go. 7 sessions for Shining Force 2. Took me a little bit longer this time. We used NSO rewinds, and this was another run funded by Ink Chaos. 60 story negatives with only 3 positives offsetting it. Negative 57 to story. Yeah, this is going to be a doozy. Oh boy. With negative 30 on the gameplay. Yikes. Here we go. Brickwork, animations, and the voice pitches are all here. Although way more inconsistent with the voice pitches. That's it. Now for the negatives. The spray work bugs me. I don't know how to really explain it other than the color use and the saturation hurt my eyes a bit, and they usually don't. Then there's the cutscene incompetence, which is way too rampant. It is in practically every scene. Even for a 16-bit RPG, this is just awful. Awful. Triple negative. The dialogue is bad in this one. So many lines are just, what the fuck am I reading? And it takes me out at every turn. Which also, the Terabad localization, which was actually negative worthy this time. The localization wasn't very good in Shining Force 1, but in 2, it is garbage. God. And then I honestly upped the dialogue to a triple. I just didn't want to interrupt the thought process of the Terabad localization, but yeah, the dialogue was so bad it was a triple. With empty text galore, as several text boxes are just characters either reacting to or repeating lines like they're in Metal Gear Solid. And that series doesn't do it as often as people like to joke/bitch about. Now, here's a new one. A general characterization negative. So the example I used here was in GoldenEye on the N64. Namely, the character of Alec Trevelyan, who has 4 scenes total where he has dialogue. Yeah, I guess it would be more accurate to say he has like 4 missions where he actually has dialogue, where he has actual dialogue, and it's not just "I'm better than you, James, wahaha," you know. He's actually got like 4 scenes, right? He's got the facility scene. He's got he's got facility, he's got statue, he's got train, and he's got cradle. Hadel. Those are his 4. And he's better characterized in those 4 missions. Now, obviously, I'm not going to give you context, but you get my point. Alright, I'm just telling you the mission names because I feel like that's vague enough that that is fine, you know? Oh. Anyways, even and what's funny is that even Bond is silent for most of Cradle too, which actually Trevelyan comments on. Funny enough, but I still say that Alec is still better characterized in those 4 missions in GoldenEye for the N64. Leaving the movie aside, specifically just in the game, he's better characterized than every single character in this game. That's why this is a triple negative for the general characterization. Then there's story sequencing, which is just god awful, but in a different way this time. This time, it's with characters. See, there are several times where a character will act one way and then suddenly act another, whether it makes any sense or not, and it happens constantly enough that I was just like, yeah, triple negative. Then there's the humor in this one, which is meant to try and be silly with the characters being kind of dumb at times, but it makes sense precisely 0% of the time, which also leads to a complete and unapologetic failure of Devil May Cry effect. Now, I only give this give a negative for this one. It is really bad, and oh boy, it's dog shit here. Holy crap. The silly takes me out of the story every single time. I also feel they half-ass the background lore as they kind of go into the deities, but not enough to make them interesting. Which is funny because Shining Force 1 also kind of half-assed the background lore, but that felt like it wasn't the point, you know? Then there's the complete lack of world building in a story that had opportunities, so yeah. Then there's the internal continuity, which is awful and all over the place, which does not help convey where the hell we are narratively speaking. The music direction is once again crap. Yep. This time I felt the story was badly paced because I wanted the story to just get on with it a lot of the time. Triple negative there. I felt the plot was stupid simple and the setup is betrayed by that fact. Then there's the shaking text boxes, which hurt my eyes. The Sky Trilogy ran into this problem. And I feel like this is seriously one of the most poorly written games I have ever seen in my life, and that is no exaggeration. For as much as I kind of I will be ragging on the narrative of Trails Beyond the Horizon, aka the game where I am the only person on the fucking planet who hates the narrative of that game. This is seriously infinitely worse. Holy crap. Like, Jesus. Triple negative for the overall writing. 29 presentation negatives. We're just at the halfway point. Think about that for a second. Now let's get into the characters, shall we? Sarah is a self-righteous cunt who choose out Slade after somehow figuring out that he took the jewels and does this immediately after he lets us out. Fuck you, bitch. And she literally doesn't get any better. She's a character that's fine in gameplay, but in story it's like, go away. Just go away. Volcanon is a racist asshole. Seriously, fuck dumbass deities. And then Astral is supposed to be our mentor, but in reality, he's an asshole that can, in one scene, be read as a pedophile, which is just... no. Granted, that scene had the girl in question turn out to be a powerful devil, but still. Ugh. Then there's Matula, who was fine, right up until I realized her role in this story was exposition, and boring exposition at that. And the fact that the narrator, which character on the title screen was her, and just her transformed the whole time was just, I literally just rolled my eyes and said, fuck off. Ugh. So, we are knocked out, and our party has a conversation where 3 fucking characters ask what ground seal is back to back. I believe my dialogue is amateur at best, utter garbo at worst, and even I can write better dialogue. God damn. Fuck that scene. Ugh. Then there's the Galam Commander Lemon, yes, seriously, that is his name, who is given 0 characterization and then is killed as if we're supposed to give a fuck. I do not. King Galam taking Elise hostage after we deal with his minions is just no. Oh, that's dumb. Then there's the whole destruction of Grand Seal, which is just, what the fuck? It seems to be the overarching sentiment of the whole story, frankly. It is badly paced and it feels rushed, which leads into the failed comedy of the boat sequence. Sarah being seasick like I'm supposed to give a shit, and them claiming that they are going to use the ship for lumber before they've even landed. Seriously, what the fuck? Just fuck this shit. Chapter 1, or I guess the intro, which I count as until we get off the, which is up to the boat sequence, before the first time skip, I should say, is sloppy as fuck. The stakes are not well established, the writing is weirdly bad, and there's a time skip. Yeah, I hate to say it, but fuck this intro, it's a double negative. Peter doesn't like Rhodes for offering us a service? The actual fuck? And then there's when we meet with the evil spirit. Seriously, that's his name. It's a terrible scene that would be great to establish the villain Xeon, again, seriously, but instead it's just a dumb scene that fucks with the colors and makes my eyes hurt. Triple negative. They didn't even try with the Camila deception, did they? God, fucking hell, this is bad writing. Then there's Jessup killing Camila right before she was going to warn us about prism flowers, and then our robot companion being unable to explain them is just narrative cheating at that point. Also, why do we spare Jessup? Are you fucking kidding me? Kidding me? Yeah, I wasn't a fan of that shit. Then it's not helped by the fact that he also runs away from us every single fucking time. God, that got pathetic. Then there's Xeon's end, which is unsatisfying as fuck, and it really feels trite and full of conveniences that border on contrivances. Grievances as I switch to the next playlist. That's extended. What the hell? Oh my god. I don't want the extended versions. I don't want to sit in there for an hour. Alright. Now we're on to Shining Force 2, which has a weird placement on this playlist, but whatever. Anyways, moving on. So, game, you can't present me with an asshole deity that at the ending reveals that you reveal at the ending that he's been helping us the whole time and call that good writing, because that is the shining definition of tell don't show, aka the wrong way to do that. The ending with us kissing the princess is dragged out longer than it should be and is boring as a result. Then there's Batula being the witch from the file select, which is a twist that means absolutely nothing, as it raises more questions than it answers, like, how the fuck was she transformed? So, yeah, no, fuck that shit. Also, this ending is incredibly rushed, and is just god-awful. 2 negatives for it. God, I'm glad I'm done with the story. Jesus, I hate this story. Now let's get into the gameplay. Hey, yeah, that negative 30 should say everything it needs to. So, in the first game, in the first game, inventory management was a bitch and a half, as was looting chests, with the whole multiple clicks thing. But here, one click opens a chest, and if your lead needs inventory, which is still irritatingly small, if their inventory is full, they'll pass it on to the next member in the party. That is a hell of a convenience feature. The game over thing is still here, triple positive. Mid-mission checkpoints are still good as a result. As the cutscenes are still skipped on retry, even if you do a different battle, which I learned from the Kraken fight, actually. Then there's the surprise save point in the final dungeon, right before the final 3 fights, each which is actually very much appreciated considering the slog. Egress teleporting you even in the field is a wonderful time saver. I don't know if it was in the first one. I don't think it was, but there it is. Good itemization. Only one positive for it this time. Core combat is still good. The sound design is still legit, even if it's not as good as Shining Force 1. When you promote, the animations in combat look cool, finally. So the promoted units actually have cool animations in combat. The animations in the first game weren't really all that interesting. So there was that. Boost is an awesome spell. Don't at me. Status effects have a chance to be inflicted, and more often than not, they fail to be inflicted. Good. Unit variety is good. Battle sprites are honestly pretty cool, during the attack animations anyway. They were fine in Shining Force 1, but not really positive worthy in my opinion. I like the spell effects this time. They were okay in Shining Force 1, and then the enemy variety is good. 17 presentation positives. For as bad as the Kraken fight was, I do like that the very next battle was a nice and gentle breather. Too bad that was because I grinded, but still, credit where it's due, the developers decided to be kind. Most of the fights in the game have been unfair bullshit and speaks to the lack of quality in the map design, especially true when one considers that the battle with Camila is a bog standard map, and the fairness of it is noteworthy. And then there's Xeon himself, which is a decent final battle, assuming you egress out at the start and revive your team and deal with his ads first. 20 gameplay positives. Let's get into the 50 gameplay negatives, shall we? The way the music is used throughout the game is badly judged. I had a random fight in the temple playing this somber music that I expect from an exposition scene that discusses his mystical terms and lore, not combat. The interface is still crap, the HUD and menus still suck. The difficulty curve this time is a bed of spikes and was triple negative worthy. The power regression curve is absolute dog shit. And with the game loving to RNG fuck you. Who in the ass. And the slow nature of it means that some members of the Force will be benched after a time. So yeah. The tiny inventories are still triple negative worthy. I still hate the Lord fail state. Walkthrough-itis. Walkthrough-itis is still an issue in this game. Complete with the obscure what now stuff, except the what now moments themselves actually warranted a triple negative. So I gave walkthrough-itis for optional party members and a triple to the what now nature of the game. Same lack of info. Giant bats are now vampire bats and are just as annoying. So, alright, let's talk about dying in this one. So, when the MC dies, He's causing the Lord fail state, which was given a negative above. Your current gold is halved, just like in the first game. Now, this was in the as I just said, this was in the first game as well. However, there it wasn't as big of a detriment, as I felt the MC's growth in that game and the design of the game encouraged being smart, which was helped that the further in, the more powerful you were, as the power progression curve was, well, mostly well done there, even despite the two negatives for power progression curve that I gave. The issue here is that because of the difficulty curve and how some battles are laid out, looking at you, Kraken Fight, it can be extremely easy to mess up to the tune of a triple negative. It feels way more punishing in this game to die because it happens way more frequently than the first game, and it sucks all the more as a result. Grind is still there. Here. Treasure chests should never blend into the background. God, the visual distinction on them was so shitty. Complete with no treasure for you, rearing its ugly head because there are treasure chests on the battle maps. Ugh. Eps. And some of them are out of reach because as the game was badly programmed. The map design is terrible in this one, and it is honestly worse than the first game, as the corridors there felt like they had a point. Here, giant open fields that take forever to navigate, filler maps, aka about 2/3 of the game. With the map sizes really making battles last 2 to 3 times longer than they should. RNG also hates you in this game and loves dicking you over. Thank you, NSO Rewinds, for salvaging a lot of that. The status effect fetish rears its ugly head, as it is one of the statuses are in this one, as the statuses are rampant and some of them carry on into future battles. Ugh. Triple negative for the pacing. The viscerality is bad in this one. I do not feel powerful at all. The first map in the tower, even on normal, is just wow, what the fuck? 3 heals and 1 is necessary after 3 hits, and though there are 5 enemies. Oh, and did I mention that your party has only 3 members? Yeah, that's a pain in the ass. Oh, 33 presentation negatives, and we're into the moments effectively. Now let's talk about the Kraken fight. Oh god, I fucking hated the Kraken fight. Difficulty cliff, and not the last if the guide I was using was to be believed, and it was. The guide was right. And the layout and the terrain and the enemy placement are all just wow, fuck that. Migraine of a fight, triple. Tauros is another fight that can go to hell, as the only way to damage him is with the Achilles sword, and nothing in the game warns you about that, by the way. Then there's the chess battle, which could just burn in hell. God, I hated that fight. That was a triple. The prism flowers are a giant gotcha trap, and they can go to hell. No, that was a triple there. You have to manually open the menu to get the force sword? Ugh, up yours, game. The tower is yet another filler map that did not need to be there. That's the later tower. King Galam is a cheap asshole, and I fucking hate him. And the outro is just kind of badly paced with annoying fights. It's like Odd Eye and Galam. 50 gameplay negatives. Yeah, I didn't like the Shining Force 2. Can you tell? Rant view status worthy. What I'm probably going to do is I'm probably going to invert, because when I do a rant view, when it comes to rant view, something that gets the rant view threshold, I invert the color. So what I'm probably going to do is on the thumbnail, I'm probably going to invert the Shining Force 2 colors. I'll do that red tint with the Shining Force 2 image, and then the Shining Force 1 will just be there to kind of get across a visual indication of, hey, I fucking hated Shining Force 2. But that is it. That is Shining Force 1 and 2, and I only spent 20 minutes ranting about Shining Force 2. Wow. I guess it was pretty straightforward for the most part. But yeah, that's it. That's Shining Force 1 and 2, who now cleared. Next up is Alan Wake. Alan Wake is going to be a very interesting, is going to be very interesting. I mean, it's going to be very interesting because Alan Wake is kind of a smaller game, and it's honestly also an interesting game. But we'll touch on that more when we do the rating video for that one next time. I think I've already decided that I am going to go ahead and do Alan Wake in 2, because they're basically two distinct games. Give me a second. Let me look at my calendar here, because yes, the calendar will indicate that. Yes. According to my calendar, I am splitting up the two Alan Wake rating videos that I still have to do. Specifically, Alan Wake Remastered and Alan Wake's American Nightmare. Which, yeah, I actually liked American Nightmare more than that one, so go figure. But that's it for the Shining Force rating video. I hope you've enjoyed, and I will see you next time in the next one for Alan Wake. Till next time, this is Blue Wolf Alex the Lore Walker signing out. Have a good one. See you later.